They say if you build it, it will come. Tonight, Iowa Speedway on the docket for the PRL's Truck Series, with the Charlotte Roval for its Grand National Series, as we get ready to go racing here on RaceSpot. We're glad to have you with us tonight as we get set for a busy night of PRL action here from Iowa. Once again, tonight's action brought to you in part by Advanced Sim Racing, owned and operated by passionate sim racers. Advanced Sim Racing designs and builds the sturdiest and most durable aluminum profile racing simulation cockpits available in the market today. All PRL members also get a 5% discount code on ASR products using the Precision 5 coupon code. Tonight brought to you also in part by RaceBox, which offers minted high-end button boxes for sim racing enthusiasts, from the casual gamer up to the meticulous sim racing driver. Priced, carefully handcrafted, the button boxes are an enjoyable addition to any sim racing setup. Visit RaceBoxSimRacing.com to get a 5% discount code, Precision 5 coupon code. The Butt Kicker products include incredible immersion and bring realism to every game. For every nuance, enjoy put yourself in the driver's seat. Mecha Sim Hardware is a small company from the Czech Republic. Their goal is to produce high-quality sim racing hardware. If you're looking for high pedal quality sets, as well as handbrakes and sequential shifters, Mecha Sim Hardware's eShop is the right place to go to get you up to speed. Moradness is a performance lifestyle brand motivated by motorsport and founded by professional race car driver Daniel Morad. For more information, visit moradness.com. And by Mr. Hedge iRacing Photography. Capture your finest, proudest, or simply worst moments. Hobby up to 8K resolution, a great addition to any sim room. Justin Pritz alongside Dylan Coyle, Hugo Louise producing as we get set to go racing here tonight in the Precision Racing League with some stock cars. Lots to talk about tonight, but as the drivers get themselves situated for tonight's action, why don't we see how things are sorted? 36 entries have made their way to Iowa Speedway tonight, but only one can come away with the victory in the trucks over the course of 40 minutes.
What is going on, guys? Pretty excited, Justin, to be calling this race with you. Iowa, it's big, right? Just got announced returning to NASCAR's calendar with the Cup and Xfinity Series next year in 2024. That whole schedule just got released today. ARCA's going to be back here next year as well, but we're just waiting for these trucks to start their first of 2 pace laps. Since it's under a mile in length, we'll see them do 2, be one of the longer 2-lap pace parade laps, I guess you could say, that we do here. Pace car is moving. What are your thoughts? What are your expectations for tonight, Justin?
Well, the expectations are pretty simple when it comes to Iowa. Expecting some hard side-by-side racing. Always we see the side-by-side doing around this track, especially when it comes to the multi-groove racing. Third line likes to come into play, especially when it comes to the trucks, but a lot of people prefer the bottom line. Dennis Fairclough will lead them around the racetrack tonight from the bottom side, with Alan Dice in second. Brian Travers starts alongside Dallas Sullivan. Then in the top 3 rows is Matthew Kartikoffy along with Colton Easterday. Steve Loving is up in 7th spot tonight, with Rodrigo Morales back in the 8th position. They'll be just outside that first half dozen on your starting grid pylon. Zach Panzarella starts off in 9th. Nicholas Starling amongst the top 10. Kirby and Andre Benetti amongst the top 12. Also amongst the top half of the field, Phil Bieber, Eric Kalagan coming over for the roadside to the oval side. Garrett Austin and Steven Martinez, with Richard Pruitt and Oliver Rome rounding out the top 18. Let's take a look at the rest of the grid as it scrolls on through here tonight. Your keys to win when it comes to Iowa, especially when it comes to the multi-group facet, and only 40 minutes on time to deal with, so cautions could play a factor on how much time you have to get through this field.
Yeah, absolutely. Cautions are going to play a factor. The other thing is, because it is a short track, you get some pretty substantial damage. There's not much more you can do in terms of staying in pit lane, hoping to not go extra laps down to fix that damage under yellow. It's a large field. You see 36 drivers. Zachary Austin starting at the back. We're about ready to go here. Pace car going into pit lane.
We're all set to go racing. 40 minutes from Iowa. We're underway from the field of corn. racing underway for the fastest short track on the planet. Faircloth already single file. Most of the drivers along side by side. Lots on the third line. Most of them trying that tire-saving line to the first groove as Faircloth leads them on lap 1.
Biggest thing is going to be to save those tires as soon as you can, but they're already wrecking. The 94 and the 227 get together. Caution has been thrown. More crunching of sheet metal around 1 and 2. A needless caution on lap number 2.
We're already under yellow as a result. Jake Mackey amongst those involved. And significant contact in turns 1 and 2, already putting us to a stop. The only going of tonight's action amongst the mix of the playoffs. Keep in mind, especially with this being the third round of those playoffs. Let's take a look at what happened to Mackey. Seemed to be a clean first lap, not so clean start to the second lap.
Yeah, and actually that's a weird start to the race in general. A lot of checking up and cars starting, or trucks I should say, starting to go 3 wide right as the green flag dropped. Everything is so far so good, though, as we get running down the backstretch. Some big moves, a big wide angle going into turn 3 with the exit of turn 4. Here's where it gets a little bit odd. We rush down this D-shaped oval's front stretch. They almost go 3 wide. There's a bit of a dive bomb here. The tires are squealing, and actually the wreck happens in front. That's a big hit for the 94, getting hit from the rear while already stopped. A little bit of a lack of brakes right there, Justin.
That was Nicholas Starley who got hit in the back end there. That was involving some of the contact. Let's take another look.
Yeah, just he got in way too hot. And then at that moment, the fact that you don't hold the brakes heading into that, it's not good at all. I know the caution was a fairly late caution, but you see smoke in front, you gotta respond by applying the brakes.
So Mackey and Calaco, the ones with mandatory damage repairs in the early going here. As mentioned, playoffs in full swing. Race 3 of the current racing rounds of the postseason. We're in that part of the year where all that buildup from the previous 3 seasons in trucks have led to the ability for drivers to battle for the overall championship. Steve Loving, keep in mind, coming into tonight, 7 points over Alan Dice, but the cut line is the battle to keep an eye on, because how things fared out tonight, 3 drivers came in tonight tied in points. Zach Panzarella, the 247 with 60 points. Dalton Gayer also was tied up, and Robert Go was also tied up. Robert in the 15 truck here tonight. Dalton amongst those in the heart of the pack in the early going in the 365. In fact, at the back. In our words, you better be one of those best finishers, and Richard Pruitt also only has a 6-point depth cut bumper to that top 12.
Yeah, that playoff battle is definitely interesting, right? Where PRL has it, where season 4 of the Oval Series is not really just about the season as a 10-race stretch. It is still a championship, right? You still win season 4, or you come in second, third, but there is a playoff, an overall full year battle from the opening 30 races, the opening 3 seasons of PRL competition. In that retrospect, it's very exciting because it adds those extra wrinkles, those extra storylines that we get to talk about. And here's the other really interesting thing, Justin. It's the fact that this is the cutoff race for the round of 16.
Exactly, and all the hard work all year comes down, potentially for some, to how they survive tonight, not just in this side of the card, but also in the Grand National Series cars with the road course for that side tonight. That's going to be a major talking point for drivers like Doug Evans, Colton Lane, Ted Lowendick, who should do really well since he's a road course driver, and Daniel Knight amongst those in that battle we'll talk about in depth later on tonight. But in this regard for this race, we're under caution. This is a very lengthy caution track. Usually on average, the caution period's about 5 laps per caution, hence why we're pacing along so much here, coming to 1 to go this time. So, in our words, that's going to be a consideration for how many incidents we get tonight and how many laps we get into green.
Yes, it's actually really interesting that we kind of saw just a lap and some change where the clock just started. We got that caution, I believe only 45 seconds had passed, maybe 40 seconds before we got to the caution. So you kind of reason that, you know, it goes from 39, let's say 39:15 left on the clock. By the time we get back to green, it'll be closer to 34 seconds. That's a pretty substantial 5+ minute, if not just around 5-minute barrier for each caution. Of course, PRL races are time, not lap based, so it's something to keep in mind.
Dennis Faircloth, meanwhile, continuing to lead up front. He's led every lap so far in the 80 truck. He leads them to the green, back underway. Alan Dice with a solid restart up on the inside. The fight's on for second. Ryan Draper trying to hold on to the outside group of the 03.
Big moves around the outside, but it's going to be held the advantage by the inside line. That backstretch, it kind of swoops down before moving back into 3 and 4. Not the highest bank track, but that does mean that there's multiple grooves to maybe get a run. That inside line, it's really detrimental to the tires. That's why they kind of stick up a little bit more, maybe line 2, groove 2, to get the biggest run down the backstretch. It's a short one too, Justin.
And trouble back straight away. One driver hard to the inside wall. We stay green. That appeared to be one of the drivers involved in the earlier incidents.
Yeah.
That was Andre Benetti, actually, in the 227 in the We Race truck. We stay green.
Yeah, Andre Benetti, he was involved big time in that earlier incident. As a matter of fact, I almost feel like he was, you know, either the reason for that incident or
trouble. Near caution. The Adams family racing 33, Blaine Adams, has spun around on the back straightaway, and now we're under caution. So the 33 is the trigger this time, Dylan. Same spot as the contact you seen in the backdrop the previous lap. This time, Adams was a little bit higher up on the save.
Yeah, for sure. A little bit higher up. We'll get the replay in just a few moments. I was saying that, yeah, the 227 was the cause of the original caution. Andre Benetti has taken himself out into the pits with the tow, but not many green flag laps have happened here at Iowa Speedway. We're just about 8 minutes into this 40-minute session, and all but just around 2 minutes, minute and a half has been spent under yellow. Here's a replay. Yeah, just loses it. The 227 earlier. Big hit to the inside wall. That is absolutely day done. You see the smoke bellowing from that motor. And then a little bit, we'll get the replay that brought out the caution.
Funnily enough, believe there was actually a tiny bit of contact from Brett Adams in that first incident. But the second of the Adams trucks does go around to bring out the caution the second time around. So we're now under yellow once again. So the time continues to tick down, as talked about a little bit. Cup Series racing for the first time ever to come here in NASCAR sanctioned competition next year. And that's been built up a lot with the open wheel action in the most recent years with the backing there, with some of the big artists coming on in. And remember, this was a track originally built by Rusty Wallace and Paxton Waters Architecture back in 2005-06. It's taken a long while for the NASCAR's top flight to get a chance here at this track.
Yeah, and I really hope it ends up being a success. I know it's going to be in the evening. I don't know if it'll be fully under the lights. It should get there or get close to it by the time the checkered flag falls, whatever the length of that race ends up being, which is definitely going to be an interesting one to look for. You know, it's bigger than Richmond. Iowa's 0.88 miles long. Richmond is pretty close to 3/4 of a mile long. So Iowa's big. People don't necessarily think of Iowa as a bigger short track. It's still a short track, right? But it's only 1/10 of a mile shorter than, say, Dover or New Hampshire, Phoenix. So it is a fast track, like you were talking about, Justin, one of the faster short tracks in the country. I'm really excited. I think Hy-Vee has done a great job with a particular open wheel series that has been to Iowa in the past few years. It's done a great job just promoting the event and returning to it for the NASCAR Xfinity Series, and going to it for the first time with the NASCAR Cup Series will be an amazing time, an amazing event. It's kind of funny that we're watching it race there with the NASCAR Craftsman truck in this PRL Truck Series race, so they're not going back there.
Yeah, that's the interesting part in that, where it's now towards the top two flights, as well as mentioned, the Argonaut Series. But in regards to tonight so far, not too much battling so far with the cautions. Already 2 yellows, but the time we get back rolling, about 27, maybe 26 minutes to go on the clock. Mind you, already 4 drivers out of the race. Andre Benetti, Nicholas Starling, Eric Kalaga is currently back on track 10 laps down, but Jake Mackey is out. So 3, I should say, are now out of the race. And we've turned, what, 4 green flag laps?
Yeah, something like that. Not really anything at all. No more than 2 minutes of green flag racing, which means we'll go back to green flag racing with 2 5+ minute caution periods. I mean, already the minimum amount of this race that will be spent under caution is over a quarter of the allotted time.
No pressure as we get ready for the race to get back undergoing. Just under 28 minutes to go on the clock. Right now, the estimate's about 72 laps. If we were to go green from here, do we go green from here? That is close to the edge of the fuel window, by the way, for tonight's race. And nobody except for Blaine Adams and Mike Witt have topped off so far. Green flags out, back on our way. And as the clouds form up over the track, 2 by 2 across the field also forms up. The first side-by-side, 00 trying to work on the outside and get around Steve Loving, your points leader entering tonight.
Steve Loving, who leads in the points and in the round of 16 playoff standings, is trying to make it work side by side with the 223 of Rodrigo Morales. You see all these trucks just spread out by, well, I should say spread out by 4 seconds, 5 seconds, but it feels like they're right on top of each other. It's just such a big field tonight. Still 32 cars, trucks, goodness, on the lead lap.
They're called SUVs, some people would say.
Yeah, well, you get hit by one in the flatbed and it doesn't feel like an SUV.
And in all seriousness, though, right now, the middle line starting to really form up around the track at this point, with the run starting to situate. Our longest green flag run so far. And it looks like everybody's picked up upon the middle to bottom lines being better for the tire save.
Yeah, and I think that, you know, the bottom line, you're just turning that wheel to the left so much to try and keep the speed required to match everybody else on a higher line. You know, that middle groove, maybe a little bit closer to the wall, might come into play a little bit later, but it seems like they want to kind of straddle that first seam, maybe go a little bit, dip their left sides a little bit below that through 3 and 4, and then through 1 and 2, maybe they want to be a little bit above that first seam.
Amongst those, meanwhile, in the battles, battle for second. Trevor Index, the second. Also closing up still the one on screen, Morales. Continuing to try and find the line, just seems to be floating on that corner exit. It is something that happens around here. Loose off turn 4.
Yeah, loose off turn 4. Loose really anywhere on this racetrack, especially with that track temperature. It actually went down from the start of this race session. The last 15 minutes, it went from 97 degrees Fahrenheit to now 92 degrees Fahrenheit. So it's still a very slick and slippery track. It's just not as slick and slippery as it just was. We see these trucks trying to fight 3 wide. John Mankowski, the Woodaback Racing driver in that Chevy machine, trying to work it on the outside against the wall.
George Smith back there. Tom Embassy also amongst the offset 3 wide for a split second. The truck just behind needs to get a move on too. The 365 as one driver on the wall. That was Thomas Brendel, who nearly collected all of them in one swoop.
I'm feeling, sorry for cutting you off, Justin. I was just going to say that I have a feeling we are going to hear a lot of sheet metal against safer barrier tonight.
Especially with how tight that exit can be, and more scrubbing right in front. But what's about to say, the 365 in the back of this grouping. He's in 20th right now, needs to go. Because he was once those tied on the cut line entering tonight. He's watching the battle in front. Steve Martinez, Martin Calvert, the Fillmore Racing truck with the squeeze, the Vulture Motorsports truck on the prowl.
Yeah, trying to make it work here. 53 machine of Steven Martinez as well down the inside. Remember, not the preferred line. You see that darker gray part of the track. He was a little bit below that. It's going to cost him that fight. He's going to try it again, though, around 3 and 4, but he's going to slide up on exit. He's going to have to get really off the throttle, gets tight, and now he opens himself up to attack from John Mankowski in behind the 93, trying to make a move on the outside.
Still not able to make the move outside. A little bit dicey up front, though, because this is now at the edge of the top 10. Brett Adams bullied his way past Garrett Austin last time by. Stephen Kirby also trying to make a pass and turn. You have Adam Showett also in the midst of all this. They're not afraid to rub the doors and the fenders in this part of the field.
Yeah, why would you, you know? It's short track racing, right? A famous driver of a number 11 Cup Series machine has said that it's short track racing. This is the epitome of it, right? You want to have some contact, you get your elbows out a little bit. It's hard to gain positions if you're not willing to at least maybe put the bumper to the truck in front of you, or, you know, like you said, get that door panel out, get your elbows dirty, something like that.
Yep. But depending on the type of field, sometimes the elbows turn into fisticuffs. As we take a look at the battle for second, things have been clean up here for reference.
For now.
Don't jinx it. Dallas Sullivan, should say, to the inside, looking for third. And he's trying to round that bottom side. Alan Dice the second, though, able to clear back along as Sullivan tries to get as close to the yellow line. That's the surprising part. The fastest line for tire saving has been get to the yellow line, and no one has gotten to the yellow line.
Yeah, no one has really gotten to the yellow line. I think it's an aspect of if you get down there, you're turning the wheel a lot more to the left to try and keep up that speed, so you scrub off more rubber. At a certain point, I do wonder with how these yellows, yeah, that's a big hit by Ryan Traver. That's going to be an awful moment for him in the battle for second. He might go all the way back to 5th if he's not careful. 6th place might be his spot.
Still side by side going on now. Traver on the outside. Karakov trying to make the move of the Skyline roofing machine. And Karakov amongst those in the postseason picked up 49 points actually last time out to help basically lock himself forward comfortably in points.
Some really good battles here as the tire life starts to play a factor. The tire wear starts to play a factor. We're about halfway through this race. But remember, we've only had around 8-9 minutes of green flag action, which is going to lend ourselves to fresher tires at this point than otherwise. But it really sets up an interesting moment that if there is a caution, that's a big wiggle right there from Matthew Karakov. If there is a caution, then you almost have to say, yeah, take tires. The question is, do you just take a right size and take a gamble if you're in the back of this field? By the way, Karakov, he's into the round of 12. No worry there. He won last week.
Was about to say, that's what I meant by that, Mark, since he is basically the only one with the win so far in this round for the playoff picture. All that while Steve Loving has grouped up into them. Also building up, you see the backdrop. Colton Easterday, Rodrigo Morales have closed up as well. Brett Adams and Garrett Austin. As we make our way past 20 minutes to go on the clock. Let's take a look at that battle in the 223. Now, what line do you pick? Do you try and hold off the outside or the inside? Because it looks like Adams wants to try and make it a 3-wide move.
Yeah, but if you make it a 3-wide move, unless you make the pass quickly as can be, you're going to be struggling to keep up that speed. Yeah, you're getting position, but you're losing so much time to the trucks right now, pulling away in front in that top 7 or so, that top 6, I should say, with Steve Loving just around a second ahead of this battle. Right now, Morales gets tight, coming off of turn 2, swinging down to the bottom is Brett Adams. Straddling that yellow line, but he slides up. He's going to get tight, takes the foot off the throttle, not going to make the move, opens himself up from behind. It's a tale as old as time, Justin.
And everyone trying to get around everybody at the rate we're going. One of the Regenboog Motorsports trucks again to the bottom, and Garrett Austin. Easter Day now under attack by Adam Schoen as he tries to work on the outside of the 79. Kirby also trying to work the middle. At this point, how long can you hold things up here? Because keep in mind, the pace, 25 flats in this pack. The leaders are running 24 nines.
I don't know, man. That's going to be hard. I know Dennis Faircloth right now. He's going to cross the line in just a moment. His lap time on lap 38 completed is a 25.134. If we compare that to his lap times he was running, say, on lap 17, the second lap, or I should say lap 9, the second full lap when we came back on the first restart, it was a 23.637. That's a second and a half plus of fall off in just around 30 plus green flag laps time. That's a ton of fall off that's going to be on a cliff soon.
Already some of these drivers, 40 laps on the tires outside of a couple drivers who were involved in contact earlier. They haven't made any ground, though, since then. Speaking of ground, Karaklov now up to 4th. Ryan Traver wanting to get back around Loving as Loving starts to make a slow charge. They are slowly, all but surely, though, because of some of their shuffling, moving back to the other shuffling.
This is some great racing right now. I'm actually almost a little bit upset that we're not going to be here for...
Hold on.
Oh, what are you seeing?
What did Karakolov just do? I think he nearly just spun the truck in the 0-0.
I think Karakov absolutely did that. He came off turn 2 really awkwardly. Maybe he just took his foot off the throttle for a second or something, but he keeps it going. Obviously, kind of conceding that spot in the battle, currently running in P5. Steve Loving in 4th place. Look at that move, the 109 and the 223. This is a good battle. Look at all these machines fighting right here. You can put a blanket over them, and they'd be right over it.
Technically, if you look at the interval pack difference, we're talking about pack going as far back as 16th or so. Here comes the move for Brett Adams for 6th. Traver is now falling back to the Hornets' nest. Garrett Austin looks to make it offset 3 wide. Morales under attack as well from Kirby. There's the slide from Adams as it pushes Traver to the wall.
Man, what a good battle right here. You know, Philip Beaver got involved in an incident of some sort, and he actually just apologized. He was way up against the wall. Clock is running down, under 16 minutes to go. I mean, we really don't have too many laps left. The real question is, do they come down into the pits? On fuel, they can make it. Tire life? I don't know. That's another question entirely.
Yeah, I was about to say, how long can they keep this up? Usually the run's seen about 75 on this distance in the trucks. Does anybody make it on gas? Nobody's topped off, and now Morales is topping into the wall.
Yeah, he's right up into the wall. We'll see how that affects his handling. You see him just going slow in that middle groove. Now, Marty Calvert running down at the bottom. It's go time.
Looking to try and make some slicing and dicing moves with some of the drivers starting to fall off and get tighter. Morales avoiding contact more so with the damage model. He's trying to fight back here, actually, and Calvert guards down into him. They slide up the track. Now, more contact.
Pinball.
Bouncing around. Calvert holds onto it. Easterday backs out of it. Everybody holds onto it somehow.
That was a lot of pinball. And look, still sliding up the track is Adam Schoen. And look at that, right in front. Was that? I think that's that's Zach Panzarella, who slid all the way down going out of 4, the 79 slow. I think now we're definitely seeing the effects of tire wear coming into play. 40 laps almost of green flag life has been taken out of these tires. And hey, can I tell you something, Justin? Because we might see something really interesting here. I think we're about to see a 3-way fight for the lead.
Oh, that may be interesting, because you see that interval up on the pylon. Dennis Fairclough did have a lead by about a couple seconds for much of this race. Dyson Sullivan, past few laps, have started to catch by 0.2 on average per lap. So that's going to be something to keep an eye on the next moment or so. Keep an eye still on the battling going on here, involving Easterday and several more. Panzarella, keep in mind, needs to keep in front of all this, because he was one of the drivers on the bubble. And one of his rivals who needs to keep up with him to keep themselves out of the bubble too in the 365 is only 10 truck lights behind all of this, or in the midst of all this.
Yeah, and we'll see how this continues to play out. You see those lapped trucks potentially, on that scoreboard, that scoring pylon. You see 23, 20 seconds, 16 seconds. That's going to come into play fairly soon. We see Colton Easterday, the view from his machine. Easterday currently sitting a little bit back in 15th spot as we cross the line, though. Of course, he's in 16th. That scoring pylon shows us live timing, live scoring updates, 12.5 minutes to go. Give or take, what would you say, Justin? 30 laps, maybe?
Give or take. With how things have gone out, 29 estimated laps to go, in fact, this time by. More contact in front. Morales into the wall. Dylan Smith looks to make a move. Easterday trying to make some slices up in front of them, side by side. Panzarella on Marty Calvert. Calvert draws back one more spot. Panzarella looks to rebound a bit after sliding back on time as we go back to Easterday.
Panzarella currently trying to make moves as well. You see this whole conglomeration of trucks. Easterday in the yellow and black 9 machine alongside Dalton Geyer in the 365 machine. Geyer takes that 3rd or 4th line, the 2nd seam on the track. There's 3 seams on the track through 1 and 2. There's also 3 seams, I should say, through 3 and 4. You kind of want to straddle it a little bit higher up through 1 and 2, but 3 and 4, because of the way it exits onto this curved front stretch, you can go a little bit lower and drift up, especially if you're single file and not side by side. Look at this potential move. Dalton Geyer trying to get by Schoen. Schoen slid up there on the exit at 2.
There's the move right in front of Easterday. And 365 nearly spins it out, trying to complete the pass. And right now, with how things have broken down too, all the spots could come down to if the advance is 365. Richard Pruitt is back at 22nd. The buffer with how things have gone tonight, not there. 2 by 2 in turn for this pack as we reach almost 10 minutes on the clock.
You think we'll get a caution?
I'm surprised we haven't.
I'm happy we haven't. This is some great racing. You know it's going to happen now.
Especially since it's 2-3 wide across the field here. Tires at the very edge right now fall off nearly 2.5, make it nearly 2 3/4 of a second. And a pit stop in front. Pit window was open up as one of the leaders crashes into pit road.
Oh no, Ryan Traver had a lot of issues getting down pit road. I'm actually really questioning his move here unless he felt like he just could not make it with the tire length anymore. I mean, on fuel, you should be okay. Yeah, you should be. These trucks can go around 80 miles, 85 miles, if you will, on a full tank of fuel. Obviously, that's a very general range on most racetracks. Well, this race is not going to go that far.
Well, the estimate, if it was to go green, was a 100-lap race tonight. So, technically, drivers are borderline across the field here. More drivers like Easter Day seem to be in shuffles. Here's what we just referred to. And this is why it's a Trump pit entry.
We're all good. No one saw that, right?
Everyone's seen it. Well, I remember that conversation with Colton Lane once saying, I wish I hope they missed an incident to the barrels once. We immediately seen it the second he hit the barrels one time. That was 2 years ago. For the battle for the race lead, it's now. Because Dice the second and Dallas Sullivan have both reeled in Faircloth. After falling back by a couple seconds, they've trimmed the gap down to about 0.4 of a second for the race win. With under 9 minutes on the clock, about 20 laps on the board.
Oh,
Fight
look
for
at
second.
Sullivan. Look at him. He's trying to get a run down the inside. This is going to slow both Dice and Sullivan up. Faircloth saying, please go side by side for even longer.
Better run for Dice the second up on the top side. And just about clearing. In fact, does clear to make the move. And every time Sullivan's made a small peak on this 5, Alan Dice the second, even with side by side like this, has usually held firm.
So I'm telling you one thing. This might be a 4-horse race by the time it ends. Steve Loving just cut down 0.3 off the lead from Dennis Faircloth right there. Obviously, it's going to come down a little bit more. 1.1 seconds. Did Loving save his stuff for the best moment? There's still a lot of time left, but catching and passing, as we're seeing between Sullivan and Dice, completely different stories. Sullivan gets the move done.
Sullivan, after being in third much of this run to Dice, now moves up, and now he has a chance to be able to move up to the 80 truck. Coming up to 7 minutes to go. Sullivan's got the faster pace. Can he make the move to be able to try and get the win, to be able to lock himself in via wins here at this round of 16?
Yeah, this is going to be a pass for the lead coming up real soon. Sullivan, oh no, caution's out. He's not going to make the pass before it comes out. There was a wreck, I believe, in turn 1 and 2. A brief slide and some contact. Stephen Kirby, who is running in 6th.
We're under caution, and this gets very interesting. So the pack involving 5th on back finally breaks up. Kirby with contact from Garrett Austin goes around in 1 and 2. And what do you do now?
That's a great question. I have no idea. I do not envy anyone's position here. There might be a 2 or 3 lap shootout to the rest of this race, how it ends. I don't know what you do. I think you've got to come down and just deal with whoever doesn't. Sullivan is not coming down. Faircloth does. I think everybody else is coming down. This hurts Sullivan more than anyone. I mean, everyone, every truck is coming down. Are there any takers? Yes, there's some in the back deciding to shake it up. I don't think it's wrong for, as we get the replay here, just driving through him. 3 drivers, 4 or 5? 5 drivers have stayed out. But I only agree with 4 of their moves. Sullivan, he's going to be out to dry.
Race out the pit lane, meanwhile. 2 tires for Dennis Faircloth. Same for Matthew Kemmerkoff. Rest, for the most part, on 4 tires. A few more 2 calls for Brett Adams and Dylan Smith. Now, keep in mind, the SOF race for C-Fix this week, believe it or not, about half the field took 2 tires then to determine the race win after a similar run like this. Dallas Sullivan, though, needed a lot more people to stay out there.
He did. The only thing that could go his way is a mad scramble to the end of this race. I mean, if there's one more caution, this race ends. So he's got that on his side. This is going to be a fun ending right here.
He did have a couple others, you said, mix it up. Timothy Emmanuel has joined by staying out on the racetrack. He's the second. This is the highest he's been. He's been running as far back as 30th tonight in the 39. And Tom Embassy has also stayed out, but he didn't pass Dennis Faircloth because he was that far back to the leader by the time he passed by him as they were exiting the pit lane. Everybody else has taken service here. And from what it looks like, the bets have been made. The drivers wanting the wave arounds, likely not going to get those wave arounds. This is going to be very wild in a moment because we're coming up towards the potential of the 2 to go signal. Yes, 2 to go.
So, I mean, the biggest thing that, I think Sullivan has going for him right now is the fact that there are multiple drivers that stayed out as well. So there's 2 rows of drivers who have seemingly not come down pit road. Well, actually, scratch that. Dennis Faircloth is starting right behind Dallas Sullivan. He could just send it down into the turn. So, oh man, Sullivan, this I think was the wrong move.
Can he do anything to hold on? Let's remind everyone coming in how the playoff bracket came in. The playoff seeding for the round of 12 could come down to how this restart plays out. Remember, 3 drivers came into tonight tied in points. Panzarella, Dodson Geyer, Robert. Well, Robert has struggled much of the night. He's been towards the back. Richard Pruitt could be at risk of losing points. He was only +6. But the drivers like Panzarella involved in the incident, he's back in 14th of the restart. Dodson Geyer is back just 2 spots behind him. In our words, this could come down to how well those 3, 10th through 12th, play this final restart and if they make it and how they're seated as well as how the 15 does here in a minute.
Yeah, this is a big moment. It's not only for the win, right? It's for just getting there. This is a big moment for some of these drivers who are trying to make it, trying to get into this next round. We're going to go back to green flag racing with just minutes on the clock left.
Green flag is out. Down to under 2 minutes to go on the clock. Sullivan is so in launch, but here comes Faircloth on the fresher right side tires up the track. And here comes the pack 3 wide as they go into turn 2.
I mean, 1 or 2 more corners here, it's over. All Faircloth needs to do is just get through this corner, get a run down into 1, get the lead. He's doing that now. There is about to be a caution, though. A spitter. Who's going to have the lead? Oh, this could be an absolute mess. I think Sullivan has it.
Caution flag is out, waiting for the scoring loops. As Sullivan and Faircloth were side by side at the time of caution as there was a spin on the front straightaway.
Oh, man. Oh, man.
At least 2 drivers with black flags as well to factor in Phil Bieber and Rodrigo Morales. And Steve Loving says it all over the radio. 1 more corner, and he has the win.
Loving was about to storm by on the outside. Faircloth was 0.02 of a second down the inside over the stripe. Dallas Sullivan is going to win this, and he needed that caution to come out not even a fraction of a second or later or earlier. He needed that caution. By then, no longer could pass. This is going to be the luckiest win. Not the luckiest, right? He earned it. He was about to make the move if it stayed green the whole time. We see a replay of the caution. The 5 goes around. I cannot believe... Oh, there's more stuff happening there.
Yes.
But
Mike Witt also went around on the front straightaway right after this in the heart of that pack too.
Man, I'll tell you what. I am so happy I am not in Dennis Faircloth or Steve Loving's positions.
So at least 2 drivers with penalties here. How things break out for those on the bubble. Richard Pruitt got back to 16th. Part because of this is the cause of the caution. Witt goes around to the heart of the field, and that collects a few drivers in turn. So, for the drivers on the bubble, Geyer 14th, Panzarella 10th, Pruitt 16th. How do they have the seating play out? It looks like it might be Robert Rowe who may be out, but it depends on post-race review. In the race in of itself, Dallas Sullivan rolls the dice, doesn't pit, and just barely comes out with the jackpot. Dallas Sullivan gets himself the win in Iowa over Dennis Faircloth.
That is a wild way to win this race. Dallas Sullivan, I mean, he was already confirmed in.
Well, the team name says it all. Loaded Dice Racing. I don't think that's intentional for this way of winning, but it's on the nose.
You roll the dice sometimes. It works.
But tonight, Dallas gets it done to pick up the victory. Gets himself locked in via win into the round of 12. He was comfortable points in there. Steve Loving showing his appreciation.
Oh, man. That is a wild way to end the round of 16. We don't have final positions or where everybody was or where everybody is ending up here. I mean, we'll have to see the final results, the final standings after the fact.
So those to be reviewed, obviously, as the night progresses. But let's take our glance on how tonight unofficially looked tonight. Dallas Sullivan picks up the victory for Loaded Dice Racing after rolling those dice and holding on barely for the win. Dennis Faircloth, second under caution. Faircloth led 65 laps. Loving, Karakov, and Austin, the top 5. Then you have, not only along with Adams, Dylan Smith, Kirby, along with Panzarella in top 10. A big top 10 for him for DDI Motorsports 40 forever. Tom MSC in 11th. Then you have Marty Calvert in 12th. Adam Showett along with Geyer, Easter Day, Pruitt, Hunter, along with John Minkowski, Blaine Adams, and Alan Dice II finishes 20th after the caution. Back in 21st spot tonight, amongst those involved in the big stack-up 2, along with Dice II and several others, was Mike Witt in the 88 truck. Then Thomas Brendel, Robert Goff, along with Steven Martinez. Oliver Goff also back there for Consult Info. Zachary Austin for Regan Pogue Motorsports, the first lap down with Ryan Traver electing to pit. He lost the lap in turn and didn't get it back. Christopher Tope, along with Rodrigo Morales, and several more having rough nights amongst those multiple laps down. Eric Kalaga, Andre Benatti, Nicholas Starling, and Jake Mackey. That's look top to bottom at your running order here tonight from iRacing's virtual Iowa Speedway. The drivers all standing by. Let's discuss things with some of them, why don't we? First things first, though, Dallas Sullivan rolls the dice and holds on. Dallas?
Oh, man.
Decision on that one.
That was the wrong decision at the time, but I guess the right decision in the end. I thought a few more people in the back would gamble to stay out, and that obviously didn't happen. So I know these races get a little chaotic at the end, and I was kind of hoping for that. And you know, sometimes you have the luck on your side in these things, sometimes you don't. I mean, that caution came out right at the right split second for me, and I've lost some that way, and I've now won one this way, so I'll be happy to take it.
And in turn, right before that, you were right in the mix to pass Dennis Faircloth. Talk about that progression as the long run went on, and Everybody seemed to be potentially close on gas since one of the drivers in the top 10 in Traver elected to pit with the close window.
Yeah, I saw somebody, a couple people pit, but I felt pretty comfortable on the fuel situation. I wasn't really super saving or anything, but I felt like we'd be able to get to the end. And practice, I didn't really feel like I had a whole lot of speed, but I was able to get a good lap in qualifying, and I just tried to maintain the track position. And at that, we had the first caution or two, and kind of once we got settled in there, I was like, all right, I've got some good pace, and I just wanted to follow Alan, and I could tell he was driving in a little bit harder than me, so I knew I was saving my tires a little bit better. And then 10 minutes to go, I was ready to get moving, and I think Alan got tied a couple times. I could tell he was struggling on the corner exit, and I was just doing everything I could to keep the tires under me, and I could also tell Dennis was struggling up there. So I knew that if the race went green, I felt pretty good about my chances, and I was a little upset when that caution came out. But these things happen, so you gotta take what you can get there and make the best out of it as you can. So it would have been fun to battle Dennis for a few laps and see what happened.
But in turn, move on as part of the playoffs as well. Round 12 up next, starting off at Las Vegas. Your thoughts on running the trucks?
Yeah, that'll be good. I've been pretty good on the 1.5 miles this year, so hopefully can go in there and get us a win and just be good for the next couple races. And make it to the round of 8 and go from there.
Well, on that note, Dallas, congratulations on the run tonight.
Thank you so much, Justin. Thanks, y'all, on the booth. And shout out to Mom and Dad back home. Hope they're watching. I hope you all have a nice night.
Dallas Sullivan, your winner tonight in the trucks in the PRL. Second spot tonight by a couple 1,000ths at the top of the caution. Dennis Fairclough, he led the most laps too. He's with Dylan.
Dennis, I know you were just mere millimeters away from snagging that win. I just need to know what's going through your head immediately as that restart happens, and then what happens when the yellow comes out.
I was a little, I don't know, I was stupid on pit road, and I took 2 tires instead of 4 just to make sure I got out ahead of Karakov and them, because Alan took too much fuel and they jumped him. So I gave myself too much of a buffer by doing that. I should have just took 4 tires, but it was fun. I was perfectly fine not winning. I'm not mad. If I'm going to lose anybody, Dallas is cool. I like him. So it was a fun race. They were running me down before that caution came out. That kind of set everything up there. He was going to get me anyway, but yeah, if I'd have took 4 tires, it would have been done. I would have ended up getting the win there, but you live and you learn. I'm just trying to be clean and not, cause any problems. I'm new to the league, so I don't want to, I want to look nice,
Look nice. Well, hey, it was a great bit of racing for sure. I felt like if that race stays green the rest of the way, I don't know if you necessarily had the tires to maybe last in a dogfight till the end there. So
no.
What's your take on that?
I drove away from him, and then I kept driving away. I probably should have just backed off, but yeah, I burned my stuff up. I should have backed off way before then. Alan and Dallas were just both catching me, and we were in a Discord channel together, so we all kind of knew what each other was doing. But yeah, like I said, I'm perfectly fine finishing where I did. I want to redeem myself from Texas and get an actual win instead of waking up 2 days later and finding out that I won. So hopefully I can get that done before the 10th race is up, and I'll feel better about myself then.
Well, fingers crossed that does happen for you. Hey, great job nonetheless, Dennis. That was a pretty exciting race nonetheless.
It was definitely fun. I got my first official win here like 3 years ago, so I was kind of excited about to come here. So yeah, we'll see what happens next week, and yeah, congrats to Dallas, and thank you guys for putting on a good show. I'll be sure to watch the broadcast tonight.
Oh boy, I don't know what that means for us. Great job again. Thank you, Dennis.
You're welcome.
All right, Justin, buddy, this is a fun conversation we're having with these two drivers finishing first and second, but I do feel like Steve Loving had a really good run there. Justin, you're along with him.
Yes, indeed. Really closed up in the final stages in that regard. A top 3 run, Steve. Talk us through your reactions as you closed up in the midst of that fight, and then the caution came out. You were ready to pounce outside.
I feel like I was standing in victory lane and stepped on a banana peel. It was so close. I just needed one more turn of green, and I was gone. It was a beautiful finish. Really bold move for Dallas to stay out. I contemplated out in. I went in because I know how it works. If I stay out, it would go green. I'd finish in like P last. So I decided to go ahead and take tires and just hope I can slice through anybody that stayed out real quick before we go caution and try to go for it. But P3, I'll take it. That's good enough to continue my my points run, and I think keep me in first in the series.
I was about to say, you've been the king of consistency so far. You're the only driver in the playoffs and in the entire series to have 3 top 5s and 3 top 10s in the early going. So, in terms of that, for the overall championship, what's that focus level now like with knowing you've got the consistency, but of course the pressure has to be on heading to the round of 12 now?
Well, generally I'm known for that. I'm known for not wrecking, not causing wrecks, and being consistent in good finishes. What I'm also known for is not winning and not qualifying pole. So I'm usually always in that somewhere in the top 10, usually the 3rd through 6th spot is kind of my sweet spot. Very rarely can I pull off a win, but when I do, I usually get pretty damn excited.
So Las Vegas is up next. Your thoughts on Las Vegas, which does have a tendency to be a lot of pack racing?
I personally love Vegas. It's one of my better tracks. So maybe I can make it happen there. We'll see. But the whole season, what I'm aiming for is just consistency. I want to keep that United distributing truck on the screen and let the sponsors get what they're paying for, and get a little bit of broadcast and keep the truck running clean and just have a good time with everyone.
Well, on that note, congratulations on the top 3 tonight. It's not P last.
It is not P last, but I appreciate it. I ran, Tom Malassi is on my team now, and we worked together. It gave me some room going into one, knowing I was on freshies. So I really, really appreciate that more than you can imagine. And Matt Karakoff, him and I were working together quite a bit. And so we had a good time, but definitely appreciate Hayden's support and Team CPR and everyone that supports the league, and you guys obviously for the wonderful broadcast at RaceSpot.
Once again, congratulations to the top 3. Go to Steve Loving. I'd like to thank the entire top 3 for taking the time to speak with us here on post-race coverage for the Truck Series here on RaceSpot. As mentioned, the next race for the trucks, Las Vegas Motor Speedway, is the respective date. That will be October the 11th. You can catch that here on RaceSpot. Here's a look at that schedule in turn. The next round featuring Vegas, Homestead, but no pressure. The cutoff race is a paperclip known for lots of contact. What can go wrong?
A lot, and I hope it does. That makes it exciting. But no, seriously, Martinsville is a great cutoff race. I'd love to see that actually happen in real world competition. But from the cornfields of Iowa to, my backyard, Concord, North Carolina, the Charlotte Motor Speedway. It's the Charlotte Road Course with the PRL Grand National Series. Cannot wait to get going here. I'm excited to be here this weekend, Justin. I know we've got a pretty awesome schedule that usually lines up pretty well between the Grand National Series and the Truck Series and Precision Racing League competition. Obviously, you're looking at now, this is also a cutoff race, and if my math is correct, only 5 drivers are safe on either points or a win coming into this one. 6 on back. They can all either get in or go out. Here are the standings. I was looking through here, and obviously you sometimes have drivers who just don't show up. Well, Knightson, Hunter, Knight, Lowendick, Lane, Evans, Westerfield, Cervantes, they're all here. I don't believe Thomas Sink is in, who is just plus 13. If that's the case, he's done. There's no way he's going to be able to make it. The minimum you can get with this field size, I believe, is 17 points. He's only 13 in. I think he's almost certainly done if drivers go, are also taking part and get in front of him.
And keep in mind, it's worth noting that several drivers are currently attending a wedding today for Mark Kalin of Whataback Racing, including Mark, obviously. So,
That's
and remember,
awesome.
Thomas Sink is a longtime member of Whataback Racing. So that would explain that context.
Well,
Congratulations.
Wedding versus playoff race. You got to go with the wedding. I agree there.
Meanwhile, let's go and look to see how the racing grid lines up. Precision Racing Esports driver Abner Acosta up front with Richard Regan Jr. alongside 3/10 the difference for the pole. Daniel Knight in third. Danny Cervantes, after missing last race, is here tonight. Nick McLaughlin, one of the road course runners with Ted Lowendick. They are in the midst of Atomic Mick. I can't even pronounce how that is supposed to be, with Jeff Evans and Joey Tebbin amongst that grouping. Brett Pankari and Waylon Turner, along with Dustin Shrugs and Reese Bogue. Amongst the back half of the grouping tonight from qualifying times, Matt Gagnon and Dominic Began, along with Doug Evans and Adam Zemke, Jacob Emery and James Morgan. Then behind them is John Jones and Colton Lane. The last on time was Lane, Nick Hunter, and Nick Bayer. And several did not set times to qualify. Tyler Justice, Mike Knight, Ryan Dunkelberger, Sean Powell, Jim Westerfield, all from the back. So we get all set to go. High expectations here for amongst the McLaughlin and Lowendick crowd because it's been a road course heavy swing for parts of the season. They're the two favorites, you can argue, along with Acosta because of that road course experience in other series here in PRL.
Yeah, and, I feel like going to the Roval here and seeing all the fighting that is going to happen, there is so much that we just aren't sure about. We don't know about here. These drivers are really going to have a fun one, an interesting one happen at the Charlotte Motor Speedway road course, which, of course, in the real world is happening this weekend with these cars. The cars are Xfinity Series cars. The series is the PRL Grand National Series. But Xfinity cars on the road course, they handle so poorly, and I love that.
It should be an interesting night. Remember, the start for tonight's race, 50 minutes, mind you, on the clock, is in the midst of that final chicane. That is something that's shuffled for the rear world race as well. To the news of a few other drivers in session who are asking how this restart, or rather this start, plays out. Now, interesting enough tonight, the driver who is the middle name in the Atomic McLebendick Racing grouping of Joseph Tebbin, he's in a throwback scheme tonight because Boris Said has got himself a ride with Hendrick Motorsports this weekend for his final race in NASCAR competition. So instead of the Times New Roman font, keep an eye on the 06, he's back there in row 4 at the throwback paint tonight.
What are you expecting besides the chaos that I think we're all going to see here at this 2.28 mile 12 turn road course?
Well, expecting Acosta to try and pull away since he's good on the long run. Expecting others such as this person to do really well. This may be his best shot in this entire closing of the season for him to get a win here. He isn't in the playoff conversation, mind you, but there's still the conversation of this grouping of season races points, where right now, McLaughlin, for reference, is in the teens in the points. It's been interesting. Keep an eye on that.
Yeah, no, for sure, Justin. We look at some of the drivers here who are really going to fight for their playoff lives. Colton Lane is 1 point in over Ted Lowendick heading into this one. Lowendick, though, he's starting in 6th, while Lane, he's starting way back in 20th. That is a big swing, and obviously we would see Lowendick in on that situation. We see him... Well, I'm not sure what that was, but you know what?
Is that I'm not sure what that purple, it's on his hood too. And the eyeball was on the back bumper, you know, just to get into everybody's heads.
That would definitely get into into my psyche. Pretty big time right there, but these drivers are rounding oval corners 3 and 4. Are you ready? I'm ready for this. This is going to be a mess.
Tonight should be a wild one. Once again, the PRL's Grand National Series at the Charlotte Roval. It's the cutoff race for the round of 16. Who advances in their championship hopes in the Precision Racing League? Acosta in control. Green flag is out. What slip and slide through the chicane to the green? And a clean run through the Tom's Heartburn turn as a slide back for ninth. The top two, Regan Jr. and Acosta, looking to fight up front.
Big single file throughout most of the top 10. A move done by Waylon Turner down the inside of the 14 machine of Matt Gagnon. He's struggling right now. We're going to keep an eye out for all these playoff drivers. This is going to be a long, difficult race. No cautions, remember. It's just a 50-minute green flag race. And at the lap times, we'll see them going at a minute 22, something like that. This is what? I'll have to do the math real quick. 85-second lap times. Let me do the math. I don't want to do it, speaking.
The estimate today, about 37 laps up on the board.
All right. You didn't just do that without me. I didn't have to do any work. You should have let me do the work. You should have messaged me. I didn't have to do the work, but I appreciate it.
Was about to say, in the early going, though, Acosta pulled away by 7/10. Side by side of the chicane, not a good idea as one goes around. Already some trouble for Ryan Dunkelberger as the leaders make their way to the end of the first lap. It's Acosta in the lead.
Yeah, big issue for Dunkelberger. Brings up another point as we complete lap 1. One mistake, you're done. You're done and dusted. There's no question. There's no coming back. It's just going to be about tire wear, getting your pit stops right, keeping the car on track, keeping it clean. I don't know if there's going to be any competition for the win today, except for Acosta and Regan Jr., but Daniel Knight's certainly putting in the work right now.
Once those trying to put in the work on Cervantes is Nick McLaughlin. And McLaughlin not able to make the move quite yet. Danny Cervantes trying to play some defense. And keep in mind, Cervantes need to do well tonight. He's amongst those close on the points because he didn't start last race. His gap to the cut line only +9.
Adam Zemke saying, watch out, there's a wreck somewhere, by the way, as we're watching on board a potential move. I wonder what's going on there for Zemke. He's not racing, is he? Yes, he is.
Yeah.
The 11. Justin Scruggs. Sorry, I keep cutting you off, Justin.
Was about getting on as already in the pit lane as a result of the tow. That's referring to Dustin Scruggs has also picked up mandatory damage repair, and that likely go to the end of his night already in terms of contention. Just a couple laps in as we keep an eye on the battle between Cervantes and McLaughlin. McLaughlin with the poke. Toyota on Toyota. Nowhere to go.
That is...
McLaughlin nearly turns around.
Yeah, this is a pretty hard battle. I'll tell you what, it's helping the top 3 just scoot away right now. This battle is definitely doing that. I almost feel like the biggest problem sometimes on road courses, especially the Roval, just be a little patient, right? You can get a move done. If you're a faster car, there's a lot of spots that you're going to be able to get a move done. You got to get a good run around this corner heading back onto the main oval. But if you're trying to slide the car around, slide the tires, being a little brash when you're attempting to make a move, then you're just going to hurt your overall times as we move on with this race.
There's the issue you talked about with the 41. He's already out of the race with the tow. And already 2 drivers with mandatory damage repairs in the early going here from the Charlotte Roval. It's been impressive in the early going how the action's played out. But now Cervantes nearly getting ran over. McLaughlin locking up the left front, trying to not destroy him. as he nearly destroys the tires himself.
Man, this is going to be a race of attrition, making sure you keep these tires clean. I don't think we're going to see a win and you're in situation except for one driver, and that's Daniel Knight, who's trying to fight for second right now. He is currently on the outside looking in by 5 points heading into tonight. He wins. He's into the round of 12.
He's going to need some luck, though, with that gap of nearly 4 seconds between him and Acosta. So things settling down in the early going here. For those just tuning in, this is the Grand National Series part of the night for the PRL. They're at the Charlotte Motor Speedway's road course. As they get ready for the real-world race at the Roval. I'll ask your opinion on this. How are you feeling about the Roval, especially with the real-world counterpart with your work there?
Oh, I love it. I love it. This is the first time I'll be at Charlotte Motor Speedway in its Roval configuration this weekend, so I'm really looking forward to it. I'm happy that NASCAR's official release of the 2024 schedule keeps the Roval on the Cup and Xfinity Series schedules. I heard the rumors, and obviously being in the industry, and for anyone who doesn't know, I do public relations for iRacing. You hear the rumors here or there. There were definitely some rumors that did not come true. One of the bigger rumors I heard at one time, about a month and a half ago, was a Richmond doubleheader, which would have been really cool. But hey, I'm excited that we're going back to Richmond twice at night this year with the Cup Series. But specifically in terms of the Roval, it's a great addition. I hope we can get these Cup cars just adjusted a bit, as time goes on with the next gens to make it a worse, in a way, road racing car. The worse a car is, in my opinion, on a road course, the better it is for the fans, because it's a handful to drive. I mean, I'll just say this. The last 4 years, 2019, 2020, 21, and 22, iRacing has won the Xfinity Series race at the Roval. Hopefully we can keep that up this year.
Still keeping an eye on the drivers, as here's the throwback scheme we talked about. This is Joey Tebbin. It's been crazy how much he's improved this year in this car. When there was all the talk of him having the incidents and the trouble, after all, he mentioned just in the conversation with drivers during the practice that the engine's made of paper mache. Tonight, though, he's running top 10.
He is running top 10, and I'll tell you what, I am so impressed with Joseph here. As I'd like to say, Joseph, his name in iRacing, it's his real life name, believe it or not, Joseph, but like Christopher Busher, we must call him Joseph Tebbin. Joey, he's a great dude. Also a Philadelphia dude, which really bodes well for some Red October if you're a baseball guy at all.
Yeah, things have really done well on the baseball side in terms of that season. But talking about the race cars of itself, again, going with the theme of Boris Said, and what can you say? Everybody loves Boris Said, especially with some of the throwers he put on at this level. As a matter of fact, he's not the only one technically running one. I don't think James Morgan technically means to, but he's also running the paint scheme. He's going to be running Boris Said this weekend.
Everybody loves Boris Said except for Greg Biffle, I believe.
Yes, good point.
Yeah, we need to add that disclaimer there. Oh boy, that's a lockup heading into the backstretch chicane. That 12 machine, though, keeps it moving straight. And that Hendrick Cars machine, that Chevrolet Camaro, roaring around 3 and 4 on the oval.
That got a little bit very slidey, actually. But for the most part, things staying okay-ish back here. This is around 17th spot for those gearings. There is one driver slicing and dicing through the pack. We mentioned one of the drivers who didn't qualify, Tyler Justice. He's the 6th car tonight. See him up to 13th. He's gone up 10 spots so far in the span of less than 7 laps. And he is flying. Keep in mind, he's with Phase 2, which is an Xfinity car-specific team, or rather Grand National Series-specific team, on the iRacing service. They are specialized to this car. and have been for at least half a decade.
Yes, absolutely have. Well, we see Tyler Justice on board with him. Look at how close he comes to the tire barriers, getting back onto the oval. It's so important to get a good run out of that corner because this is the longest, I guess you could say, straightaway of sorts. It's weird calling an oval a straightaway, but you're not braking. You're just all gas, no brakes right there. Heavy braking zone into the chicane. Maybe getting held up a tiny bit, but he keeps it moving. You can kind of cut through right there as you head back on the 3 and 4 on the oval. But of course, you got another chicane coming right here. Spot where Martin Truex Jr. and Jimmy Johnson came together, and what was my biggest nightmare as a Jimmy Johnson fan growing up. Just want one more win, man.
Yeah. I think everybody wants one more win from Jimmy. But to the inside, Zemke gets passed on by. Justice says thank you very much. Didn't look like he said thank you very much, but he pressed the button apparently while sliding that entire corner. So the effort was there.
Effort was certainly there. And we'll see if that effort remains. Definitely a little bit back off this lead pack. They're storming by just on the other side of the track. You saw them storm on the left side of the screen, left side of the window that we currently see out of. Under 40 minutes to go here, closing on 39 minutes in this race. We're on lap 8 for these machines. You said 37 laps is the estimate. So I definitely, here's the other weird thing here. We make it 37 laps. Mileage-wise, I believe that's enough to make it without having to stop. But what's the drop-off going to look like? What's the track temperature going to be? Right now, we can definitely tell you it's hot. 107 degrees Fahrenheit on track, 80 degrees ambient.
And in turn, lots of slipping and sliding as put on by Justice. He is really having to grip that wheel. You can tell he's really up on that wheel too as another car lets him have a spot. That's Waylon Turner.
Heartburn turn.
No heartbreak in the turn so far. For the most part, things have stayed clean. No major spins outside of a couple drivers. Justin Scruggs only had 2 laps meant to repair. Nick Bayer is out of the race. Matt Gagnon is amongst those out of the race in the early going. Outside of that, we still rumble forward around the racetrack. For those in the conversation on the bubble, Ted Lowendick is doing exactly what he needs to do. 1 point below the cut coming in tonight. Hey, Ted's doing what he needs to do in the 72. He's the eye of the beholder with how things have played out.
Yeah, this is playing out really well for Lowendick right now. Had no practice laps. The only driver in this field not to practice. Matt Gagnon, who had issues at the very beginning of this race, out of the race. Nick Bayer, out of the race. Wild things going on here.
Oh, and a slide behind in the background. Nick McLaughlin has smacked the wall. The 37 has just crashed into the heartburn turn. And so we have our first victim of the corner right on cue. And it's right as the teammates were working with each other.
Oh boy. So I do think we're going to start to see some more wild action happening in this race as the tires start to come off, but I just don't see Abner Acosta relinquishing this lead. So we got Nick McLaughlin spinning it. Ooh, little tap.
That's still a lot of damage to the back bumper though for the downforce. But in turn, still holds on to the top 10. Reese Bogue, the next car behind, 4 seconds. He's shuffled behind Jeff Evans. It's also a solid road experience. Let's take a look at Bogue and Brent Pancari. This is the battle for 9th position. Now, when it comes to Reese, he came into the night 7th in the playoff seeding. Looks decent in terms of that position. He was plus 23 to the cut line entering the night. Brent Pancari doing Brent Pancari things, running top 10 on a road course again.
We get a look on board from Brett Pancari. Oh, come on, man. I was starting to really like seeing this view. No New York Ranger stuff. Go Flyers from Philadelphia. Unbelievable. Justin, you're in Windsor. You a hockey guy at all?
I think that's a kind of a requirement.
For sure. But the real question is it Detroit or Toronto?
Detroit.
Okay, that makes sense. I really shouldn't, be okay with that considering 1997 happened before I was born. But the Flyers and the Red Wings and, getting swept. Really not a fan of you right now, at least in this moment. But it's okay. I'll forgive you.
Well, hockey season getting around the corner, so that's why some of that stuff's up, especially with preseason action. I swear, though, that the amount of movies to his right continues to add each season, because it's almost like the movie store is doubled or tripled its stock.
Yeah. I always wonder, if he wasn't wearing his HP Reverb G2, if he would get distracted by all his stuff around him. Always, look at that. Getting off the transition from the banking to the chicane proved to be a little bit heavy-handed there. He slowed it down, though, and he got it moving.
Kari, by the way, 12 of the points coming into tonight. He's also someone that has built up his road course racing experience in a couple different series, including PRL. That's also on top running an FTF competition. Meanwhile, the battle is on for second. Daniel 9 has taken second away, in fact, in the 17 car this lap. Richard Regan Jr. dropping back to third after putting up times 2/10 slower than 9 the past few laps.
Wild stuff, man. You know what? You mind if we tune somebody into this broadcast real quick? He's racing right now, but I'd love to hear from him.
Okay, let's give him a scare.
Oh, is that my favorite Joseph Tabbitt on board right now?
I heard a bloop.
You heard a bloop. We're here with you, buddy. Great racing. 6th place right now for you. We hate to bother you while you're heading into the chicane, so don't let us distract you for too long. You think you can catch these two in front?
Absolutely not. But it's Ted in front of me, and I'm not going to catch him because we know that's a fact. He's faster than me on road courses. But I'm hoping that for once in my life I've done a good job saving tires, and I might be able to catch Danny as the run goes on. But right now it's not looking good.
All right. So one last thing before we let you go. Do you want a score update?
A score update?
You know what I'm talking about.
Oh, are the Eagles tonight?
Eagles, buddy. It's Red October.
It's red. Oh, I see. Yeah, why not? Might as well.
7-0 Phillies Grand Slam.
The old classic.
There we go. All right, that's it.
All right. Good luck. Hope I don't die.
Yeah, I hope we're watching you. I hope I'm not the cause of you going away.
I want you to look at my lap time on the timing and scoring after this and see how much time I've lost, because I think it might be a couple of tenths.
Oops. Well, bye.
How do you?
Bye-bye.
We're not even letting him say the end of adios there.
Oh, my God. I was about to tell him it's 23 seconds, but I don't... Whoa! That rejoin back to his team scared him more than us.
That was not our fault. What I can tell you is that we're not going to talk to Nick McLaughlin, who just slid it through the exit of that chicane. Reese Bogue is about to eat him for breakfast.
Yeah, the battle's on for 8th. Reese Bogue's been chatting on the radio in the midst of all this, too. Bogue waiting for a chance to pounce, but Kari there as well, waiting for the slide. Despite the damage, McLaughlin still putting up solid times in the 126s. Downside, on average, he is 2 seconds slower nearly than Bogue and Pancari the past 5 laps.
So this is a great battle, by the way, that we're alluding to right now. We're showing on screen. If you're at this point in the race, you know that the chances of winning it very far away. Daniel Knight moved into second, by the way, in recent times. It's just he's so close to winning this race to guarantee his spot in the next round, but I don't think he needs to win this race. He came into it just 5 points out, and he's going to potentially come out of it with the second most as we go side by side to the chicane.
Here comes Bogue, and that's a bit of an arc. A little bit of a squeeze as McLaughlin drops back. Brent Bakari looks to pounce as a result of McLaughlin spinning out of the way.
McLaughlin has been struggling in recent laps. I wonder if he'd be one of the drivers who would really need to think about a pit stop. He has some damage, I think, in the right rear, if I'm not mistaken. It looks like it's bent in a little bit, so I wonder if that's affecting his handling at all.
You have to think about that. Keep in mind, the driver on the bubble in those points, in terms of the discussion of points, is Colton Lane. And there's a lot of discussion on the radio involving Colton Lane's pack. He's 16 in the 60. However, he's got John Jones, Ryan Dunkelberger, Mike Knight, all in a queue. Still keep an eye on McLaughlin.
Here's the really bad thing for Lane right now. He came into it holding the very last spot in the playoffs. Lowest he can finish right now, I believe, is 25th. That would get him 19 points in this race. Even then, though, as we're seeing Lane have some contact with Dunkelberger right there, there's 3 cars that could pass him. I mean, Cervantes is ahead. There's no catching him. The only saving grace for Lane, and I'll have to do some quick math here, is he's going to get passed down the inside, is that Sync is at the wedding.
That's going to be the interesting mark on how this plays out. As Lane has now dropped back a spot. Dunkelberger nearly misses the chicane. Back side by side. And that's again, Lane slides the tires as that regroups things. But that's going to be a big thing. Jim Westerfield also was amongst those who was entering tonight above him in the points. Here's the thing. Jim Westerfield is running last on the lead lap in 22nd as well.
Well, let's just say Lowendick and Knight pass Lane. You know, it might be a battle between Nicholas Hunter and Colton Lane as this race goes on. We won't know exactly what the points are going to be, as there's some more passes, more moves being made. Lane is dicing and shaking him up. I don't know. This is going to be a struggle for him.
Well, the bad news for Nick Hunter, by the way, for those curious, he's a lap down in 22nd. So we take a look at Cervantes. He's now lost a spot to Ted Lowendick. He's running where he needs to be able to try and advance. Top 5 so far throughout the night for Cervantes. And he's looked really comfortable on this road course. This year with Regan Bogue Motorsports, and so far that partnership with RBM seems to be paying dividends, especially with a veteran like Regan Jr. for the series.
Yeah, for sure. You know, I'm doing a quick look again for the math, not to change the topic just ever so slightly. It looks like Abner Acosta is going to leave this race with so many maximum points. I mean, he's not giving a chance to anyone else to get bonus points. You get 42 points for a win. A pole position, you get 2 bonus points. Well, he has that. Driver who leads the most laps gets 1. Driver who leads a lap gets 1. Fastest lap during the race gets 1. Race winner gets 5. He has all of them, and he's the only one to get any bonus points in this race. Right now, you come out of it with 52 points from it, which is, we know he's in to the next round. That's not a concern. The real question is, then it becomes down to strictly non-bonus point situational stuff. It makes it easier for us to talk about the points and the possibilities as this race ends. 1 point per position. You got to finish a specific amount of positions above you know, another driver to make it or not make it into the next round. I'll start to look at that right now, Justin.
Well, good luck on doing math while on the air.
Ha! I always.
Oh,
get-
and Pankari.
Yeah.
I don't think that was slow. Was that a slowdown? Doesn't appear to be.
I think he just got a little bit discombobulated.
Well, Tyler Justice was about to say he closed up to all this and was about to make some passes. Already the first step done. Outside of Abner Acosta, Justice is one of the quickest cars on the track. As a matter of fact, he's running lap times that are quicker than everybody except your top 3 or so in that 6 car, as Bogue lets him through. Justice is coming, and he's looking to serve it.
Wow.
What?
That was good. I'm actually really upset. I didn't think of that. But you're spot on there. He's trying to make some moves here. Some hard braking points. Kind of came down low trying to make a move was the 4 of Bogue. Justice though, he's trying to move away from this.
Pit windows open though. Danny Cervantes has just come on in. We're about halfway through the estimated race distance, by the way. Just past halfway on the clock. Brent Pankari joins the pit party with the lockup and the brakes. And keep in mind, it's very easy on the lockup to smack into that wall that's there on the oval and the road course configuration here on the sim. Cervantes is already up on the jacks.
So it definitely is a halfway pit party, as you say, in this race, which, of course, pit entry, pit exit is going to be so important here, but I don't think it's going to be everything, right? You can maybe give up a second or two, and you can come right back and reclaim those seconds on track with some fresh tires.
So keep in mind, the fall off so far this run, more than 2 seconds, 2.5 in fact. By the way, that slamming was Abner Acosta's suspension slamming on the track. So far, he's been untouchable. 15, 16 seconds, the gap over Daniel Knight. The fall off is 3 seconds for him, but the problem is his fastest laps are very fast. Also, you may have heard some more clattering. That was not from some contact, it appears. Not sure what that was from.
You usually hear the clanking of sheet metal on a short track race like Iowa. I don't know what you were talking about.
Believe it, the reason was Sean Powell blew up a motorbike because he left the car and the car just blew up in the pits. But back to the task on hand. Acosta already locked into the round of 12. It's been crazy how quick he's been when it comes to all facets of PRL competition since initially coming on through in the 2020 year. Here comes a pit stop sequence, an early pit entry. Mike Knight takes advantage. Dominic again gets passed by Knight on the entry as a result of how shallow he took it.
I don't think it's too big of a deal. If you're any other driver, you know, who doesn't have much to gain but a lot to lose, just go 5 miles per hour under the speed limit, 5 meters in front of the pit road entry. Why does it matter too much? You know what I mean?
It matters because time is being left on the racetrack or off the racetrack.
Right. You are absolutely right there. Time is everything, but imagine trying to tell a race car driver to just slow down a little bit. It's hard.
Here's a look again at what happened initially, and this may be part of the tentativeness. He just had that too in the backstretch chicane.
Oh man, that's a horrible rejoin right there. Well, not too bad. I was a little exaggerated there. It wasn't the best.
Meanwhile, Abner Acosta completed pit service, 4 tires and fuel. He only dropped to 4th on the racetrack. That's how big of an advantage he has. Only 11 to 12 seconds behind Knight, Regan Jr., Ted Lowendick on the circuit. He's been outright flying tonight in the 121.9s as his quickest lap times. It's been incredible once again to see Acosta go to work. Still has partnership connections with private label Team Hype. That's been a grouping over the years. This season, for the team title side with Precision Racing Esports for the Xfinity cars. Again, used to be someone that was good on the road courses mainly, but a top 5 driver long run. He's now become a monster at both in this series.
Yeah, for sure. And here's something I can definitely tell you with certainty, that Thomas Sink, as we see this move by the 5 machine, just trying to lap another car, the 72, I should say. Yeah, the 72 machine right there. Sink's out of it. He's done. He's not moving to the round of 12. Unfortunately, came into this one 8th, but he's had some really horrid results here in the first 2 rounds. He came into the playoffs 5th. Came into this race 8th. And he's just not going to make it. That's so unfortunate for him, as we, see how this race winds up with just under 20 minutes remaining at the Charlotte Interior Road Course. Oh my! What happened here?
Yeah. What just happened?
I'm looking at the timing boards, and has Daniel Knight gone into the pits yet?
No, he's not.
Okay. I got a little bit too excited.
Yeah, you confused, I think, everyone for a second.
Well, let me tell you this for sure. Do you have to go into the pits? Is that a necessity to finish this race out?
Most would say yes.
Most would. But if you're in a situation where a win would guarantee you into the next round, like Daniel Knight is trying to do, he doesn't know that he's probably in a good spot. If we remove Thomas Sink from the picture, just completely replace him, then we go into tonight with Ted Lowendick being the last car in. Daniel Knight would have just been 4 points back. And, of course, Lowendick doing a really, really solid job, but he still keeps him out of there. This is, goodness me. I'm going to have to figure this out. Pen and paper, where are you?
While that gets sorted, Joseph Tebben and Jeff T. Evans advance the battle for 5th. These drivers also yet to pit so far. They are also being creeled in by the ominous Tomer Justice. As we take a look from Evans, you see how he's set up. Is that a second computer in the backdrop?
Oh, as a streamer, as a broadcaster, do you know how jealous we both are of that?
Well, he's also got his biggest... Well, that's a heater, actually. That's not a fan. What would that be?
I don't know. He's in Greenville, South Carolina, so I don't know why he's got a heater down there. It's pretty warm right now, Jeff. What are you doing, bud?
All that being closed up in the backdrop. You see in the mirror, that is Justice right in the cusp of catching them. And Evans better through the corner entries. Joey Tebben, though, continuing to hold firm on the corner exits, better on exit. And you can see where he's trying to stay that focus. He's got the open wheel, I think, almost. Yeah, that's more of the open wheel form rather than the oval wheel.
It is, but it's not necessarily a bad idea. I never felt comfortable using it, even when it was a road course, because it's a stock car. It's not going to turn the same as an open wheel car. I'd rather use an oval wheel on that. This is a good 3-way battle right now between Tebben, Evans, and Justice.
So you see that now very close up from Justice in the mirror. Here identical lines amongst Joseph Tebben along with Jeff Evans and Tomer Justice. Here there was some contact on track, by the way, involving Mike Knight because he got rear-ended by Abner Acosta. Here is the look at Justice in his form. You can see very much up on the wheel with the oval wheel compared to the open wheel rim. And he's ready to go.
Yeah, he is ready. Justice in his with Chase Elliott shirt that he's wearing right now. He's heavy on the brake, and look how far to the left he got into the grass. He is going to get a good run down this short front stretch, the dog leg right here. It's just too short to make him a run or a move, but he does get a good entrance and exit here. He might get the move done deep into the corner. Oh, he got loose.
See the frustration popping up. He wants to go. The last couple cars let him go. Evans not making it as easy, though. This is one of the bigger tests of the race. It's the fresh tires to make passes on. And the more you run laps on these tires, the harder it is to pass after all. By the way, the estimate coming up to 11 laps to go at the stripe. So that means drivers need to go 35 laps on the gas. That is a little bit less than what was talked about. But
yeah.
Richard Regan Jr. has just said he needs to pit in the 56. So the third place car on track has just pit.
I would be really surprised if some of these drivers couldn't make it, honestly, the whole way. I really would. I feel like you should be able to, just based off of what I know about these cars. But nonetheless, Abner Acosta is so close to Daniel Knight right now.
Still no changes up at this position, but you're talking about the top two within a second. The 17 and the 5 on your pylon. Remember, some drivers have taken tires, including Acosta, Cervantes, Regan Jr., Pancari, and Bogue. There is Regan Jr., the breast cancer awareness month car. But Acosta is amongst those who is flying on fresh tires 3 seconds quicker than mostly everybody else on track. The overall lead is now within a car length up in the bus stop. It could get interesting in the next moment or so on how things break out.
There's no reason it should be much of a battle as the 5 gets past the 17 really easily. Acosta back into the lead, but Daniel Knight led some laps there. That's a bonus point.
Good for his point tallies, but it's Abner Acosta back up to the point. 10 estimated laps to go, about 13 minutes on the clock. By the way, you see smoke puffs. That was because Waylon Turner went around in the 42. So as a result, Waylon Turner at risk of losing a lap in the next few moments or so. And we just mentioned Breast Cancer Awareness Month around the corner as well. The drivers across the field tonight, again, for the past month have been running decals dedicated to CM Pennington. And also, about a month ago, got a dedicated paint scheme and then that's into the PRL Cup Series for other cancer fighters fighting the fight. There's already been talks about potential work of getting a fundraiser race working for CM Pennington due to his diagnosis and the announcement of the end of his racing times in the PRL, unfortunately, Dylan.
Yeah, means a lot to a lot of people. And, oh, look at this! Big moment there for the 56 of Richard Regan Jr. Goodness, I'll tell you what, this is some racing. This is fun racing that I think definitely smiling about, looking down on. Meant a lot to a lot of people, man. He really did.
It's been a talking point throughout these closing stages as a result. The terminal diagnosis from just in the past month or so to start off the month of September. But the family has been watching along throughout tonight's action scene as well. So there is that talking point in the near future to keep an eye on. As this has all gone on, by the way, the battle you were talking about in reaction, Regan Jr. Cervantes for position, Jeff Evans on old tires, Tower Justice old tires, looking to move on Joey Tebben. No pressure, Joey, it's 3 wide, and he nearly wrecks the multiple-time PRL champion. Regan Jr. takes it 3 wide, Joseph Tebben slides the tires, and in the end, everybody holds on.
This is a mess right now. Some great racing action. Oh, there's a hit. The 51 got way into the back of, was that Tebben? Yeah, it was.
So Joseph Tebben picking up some damage to the back bumper. Not bad damage. Cervantes trying to keep up with Regan Jr. in the battle for position. Let's take a look now at some of the group clippings. Regan Jr. how to make some pouncing moves. This was the first reaction. That bunched everything up.
Some fun racing, though. Fresh tires, competing with some very worn out tires. Definitely makes it fun. Daniel Knight just still staying on track, man.
Yeah, Knight right now still holding on to second. If he can make it on gas, it's going to be interesting how the points shuffle out. Ted Lowendick still in third as well for the battle for a cutoff. All while Cervantes doing what he needs to do for the points. He's still in fifth. Regan Jr., the next car up for position, but it's going to be a little while to get back up there. So half the field electing to pit, half the field electing to stay out and roll the dice. Amongst those also rolling the dice, worth noting, Colton Lane. Here's the big thing for Lane. He can go one lap less than the rest of the field, but it's going on the call. He is a lap down compared to the leaders. He might be able to actually, realistically, make it on the gas since he only has to go 34 laps.
Interesting. I like the weird strategy coming into play here. Oh, look at that. That's a hit for Lane.
Oh, just a
Not
little,
much. Yes.
little scratch.
Little scratch for sure.
But it'll all be down to how things sort out officially by the end of the night as well. Keep in mind, down under 9 minutes to go on the clock. Still has a chance to get Waylon Turner, who has significant damage on his car after some of the contact earlier. Looking up front, here's the move by Evans. Can he make the Miracle Flow car flow through the corner? He does. Joseph Tebben drops the spot.
Tebben, really impressive racecraft right here. He's going to try and get this move done again, but he has, of course, lost it to Evans. The Tebben and Evans show. Oh, that's a big moment there for Tebben.
He is absolutely holding on for dear life at this point. So we'll see how long the 06 lasts amongst the top 10. The next spot, though, is 7 seconds back. Adam Zemke, who is also on the older tires, or rather Brett Picari and Reese both, because Zemke actually lost those spots in the past lap. So just like that, his top 10 is now in fact at risk.
Oh boy, this is going to be fun. By the way, I've created a spreadsheet. We should know unofficial point standings after this race in 7.5 minutes. It's just, I think Knight's going to make it to the end, man. I think he's going to get second. I think it's his. Question for me is Regan and Lowendick, but I think Lowendick has put himself in a great spot as well.
Yeah, I was about to say, when I seen Ted Lowendick on the bubble, my first thought with the truck side especially was he's going to probably make it because of the fact he's run well in road course racing over the years in PRL. He runs in higher level competition as well on top of the PRL. And as he now passes by lap traffic, who slides into the wall, it seems this car tonight has really suited him, to say the least.
Just a tad. I almost feel like I really like the addition of Watkins Glen into the real world NASCAR Cup Series playoffs. I think having 2 road courses in the playoffs, especially with the current split of how it is a great move here.
Yeah, I was about to say, if you're talking about the real world scheduling, 2 road courses now in the postseason, the real world action. That's going to make PRL competition a little bit intriguing next fall, too, as there goes Regan Jr. back for third on the fresh tires. There's a lot of emphasis, it seems, to be able to run on a road course because of that increase with about, what is it now, a quarter of the schedule, if not a third of the schedule on road courses. When you think about it, You're talking about a quarter at the playoff is now on a road course instead of just a 10th.
I really like it. That's kind of what it is in NASCAR now, right? Like I said, I just hope these the next gen cars get better. They handle well. It's weird. I hope the product gets better. I hope the racing gets better, but I hope the speeds of the cars are lowered and just because it's harder to drive, which means also potentially more horsepower. So it's a lot of trade-offs there.
Indeed, as we zip around the racetrack. Coming up to 5 minutes to go on the clock. Under 5 minutes estimated, 5 laps, should say. Expected to go in the race. Knight still your highest running driver on all tires. Low and Dick second highest on that strategy. Justice third highest with Evans in fourth on the strat. However, Acosta still leading on the fresh tire strap by 35 seconds, 12 seconds on the racetrack to Knight. Things have really spread apart, I will say. But that was to be expected. And as this race goes on, it's a road course race. Things spread out.
Yeah, absolutely. You expect it. You have to expect it. Doesn't mean that it doesn't have some interesting parts to it, right? Where we've seen fresh tires come into play and almost dangerous moments there for Richard Regan Jr., but just a lot of fun. A lot of fun things, you know, with the last 4 minutes of this race. We'll see exactly where everything shuffles out.
There's a look at Acosta. Of note, you may see a lot of shuffling involving the 60 car. That's because Mike Knight and Ryan Dunkelberger just passed him for 2 critical points. Would that be a big difference on the bubble? We'll have to see. So all sorts of shuffling in the final stages here of this race as Acosta looks to run away fully. Here's the shuffle pack. The interesting thing is Lane actually was fighting hard back and forth, then said, you know what, I'll let you guys go, and then nearly accidentally wrecked them both, letting them go.
Yeah, not always the thing you want to do, just trying to get out of the way, but it's a shame because he's really fighting it right now. He really wants to get, you know, the most points he can. He knows he's in a spot where he needs them.
See him in that orange car. Back of the grouping, Dunkelberger has been the one Lane's been battling with especially. Mike Knight, he's quicker on the long run, it seems. But Lane doesn't seem to want to give up when it comes to the 26. Look how much he's able to get in a corner entry.
Really solid amount there. These cars probably have, what would you say, 2 laps, maybe 3 laps left to go in this race.
And you know, the wild part, Dunkelberger is on fresher tires. Lane's on the old tire strat and is still keeping up with Dunkelberger.
That's wild, man. It's a great move. I heard something happen, something crunch.
Justice is in the pit lane, in fact, in response.
Oh.
So now it gets interesting. Justice only made it 33 laps on fuel.
Do you worry for Daniel Knight at this point?
If he can't make it, then that could be a massive, massive point swing at the end of this race. Or better yet, the delta is only 14 seconds. Does it become the Jeff Burton strat from the 2002 All-Star race, where you just need to go to the pit lane and cross the line?
Well, maybe.
No, Knight is actually in now.
Oh,
he can't
boy.
make it to the white flag lap. Knight has just pit on the pylon. So the 17 has to top off. That could be a swing on points here in the late stages.
Yeah, it absolutely will be a swing on points. I'm going to try and work it out for us so we can have some unofficial numbers, but that's huge.
Where will he shuffle is the major question. Regan Jr. already passing by. Ted Lowendick also within range to make a move soon. And keep in mind, it was already a splash and go when it came to Knight for Justice. There's the splash. Ted Lowendick did not pass him. He only lost 1 spot.
I guess that makes sense.
Expecting the white flag this time by. Near contact in front of him from Nick McLaughlin, who's in 11th. So 10 cars on the lead lap as we get ready for the white flag this time by. Abner Acosta outright dominating the race as Adam Semke has to pit on the white flag lap.
Oh, that's an interesting happening as well. So many positions might be changing here. We know Abner's safe though.
Right now, Ted Lowendick and Jeff Evans are the only drivers on the lead lap trying to stretch the gas tanks. Right now, Jeff Evans is rolling at one half of the track. Lowendick is full throttle through NASCAR 1 and 2. Acosta, meanwhile, is through the infield. It's been an outright dominant night for Acosta. One of the more dominating drivers in the PRL in the past few years. Is this going to be a night where he picks up another victory in his PRL career? Looks to be on site for it. Looking for a career win number 30 on Wednesday nights if he can hold off for half a lap.
Here's some apologies going on the radio. Everything seems to be fine. Everything seems to be good. We lived as the response, so we think that's good.
Lots of rolling through the corners from some on the fuel tanks. But for Abner Acosta, only a couple more corners to roll through for his night. Down to 10 on the lead lap. But for Abner Acosta, a dominant run at the Charlotte Roval. Gets him career win Thursday on Gets him career win number 30 on Wednesday nights. But even more so, it's career win 66 in the PRL. Second all time in the PRL win list is Abner Acosta.
Dominant. No question about it. Just absolutely dominant win for Abner Acosta. Still some racing back to the line. Mostly everyone is done their race, but we do have positions up for battle here as we head down the backstretch too.
Mike Nidamonsto's able to roll forward, but you mentioned some of the drivers looking to roll. Key word. Ted Lowendick Amonsto's trying to battle with Danny Cervantes. 72 and 25. Cervantes has ran out of gas in the final corners as you look at the drivers finish up the laps. Cervantes has passed. Lowendick runs out of gas, coming to the checkered and drops to 5th.
Will that play a part?
But Abner Acosta, he knows the race is over, right? Well, he's flying through the bus stop. Yes, he does.
He knew it.
But it's Acosta who breaks the tie with Richard Regan Jr. for second all-time in PRL victories in the entire league's history. It's his 30th as well. Wednesday nights. That places him second, tied with Regan Jr. as well on that list.
The dude just wins.
Holland.
He just wins, man. He's fast anywhere. Road courses, I'll say, definitely a specialty of his. He showed why tonight.
Acosta burning it on down. 2 wins in the round of 16. He's well and off to advance when it comes to the postseason for the round of 12, starting next week. Unofficially, Regan Jr. in second by 37 seconds. Daniel Knight makes it to third after the top off. Cervantes to 4th. Ted Lowendick ran out of gas in the last lap, but still finished 5th. Reese Bogue in 6th. Jeff Evans also made it on gas in 7th. Brett Montgomery and Tyler Justice rounding out the top 9 of the lead lap, and Nick McLaughlin, with all the pit drama in the end, did finish in the top 10. Joseph Tebben finished in 11th. Doug Evans 12th. Adam Zemke, followed by Ryan Dunkelberger. Knight Lane, followed by Jones, began Turner Emery. Jim Westerfield was inside the top 12 coming into tonight. He finished 21st spot. And he could be one of the big factors on how tonight plays out for the points. Hunter, Scruggs, Morgan, Powell, Bayer, and Gagnon round out the running order tonight. So the celebration continues on for Acosta and company as he picks up another victory here on the Wednesday night time slot. So as the celebration gets itself going and we wait along for Acosta, let's get a word, why don't we? With Richard Regan Jr. came away in second tonight. Regan Jr. wants those comfortably in the next round. Richard, how are you feeling?
I'm glad that race is done.
How come?
I don't like road courses with this car. I'm a strong believer that in real life these cars have more grip than they do on here, but nevertheless we all got to deal with it. I think we had decent speed tonight, but I kind of ran out of talent on lap 1 and clobbered the wall right before the transition back onto the oval and gave me a minute plus damage on the right front, and the car just did not turn right anymore after that. So that's kind of why I came in and took tires, because I kind of figured I was going to finish third at that point, and I just wanted to protect against Ted. And luckily for me, Daniel couldn't save enough fuel, so I picked off P2.
That was interesting in terms of the damage, because it definitely didn't look like a minute for the outside. But regardless, though, get yourself into the next round of the postseason. What's that mindset like, knowing you've got the experience for PRL championships, but it's still going to be intense when it comes to the next round?
Yeah, just touch base real quick with the new damage model. Sometimes the render is a little bit off on the damage, but we're still trying to figure that out with the new damage model. But yeah, kind of knew going into this round that I'd basically be a lock. Me and Abner are pretty much a lock, I would say, until the championship 4, unless me and him have 2 absolute horrible races. But yeah, it's definitely nice to come into the Roval and not have any pressure other than just to run and have fun. I definitely think it's going to be between me and Abner on the championship 4, and hopefully, we can come out on top of that one.
Well, next race on the schedule, we head things off towards Vegas. Your thoughts on the Sin City?
I love I love Las Vegas, especially in the B car. It's definitely challenging. You can definitely burn up your tires pretty quick there. So I've had some good success on Oval this season. Should have won in Texas, but Abner played a great fuel strategy call and was able to sneak away with that one. So yeah, hopefully we can go show off some speed again at Vegas and grab some more momentum for the rest of the playoffs here.
Well, congratulations once again on the top 3 tonight.
Thank you. I'd like to give a shout out to Susan G. Komen. Obviously, October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month. Dedicating the month of October to my grandmother, who's had breast cancer 4 times now. Also like to give a shout out to Mission 22, Neonism Paints. You need a paint, go to facebook.com/neonism and tell them the PRL sent you. JZ Photography, dedicating the season to CM Pennington, everybody at Regenbogen Motorsports, and everyone at PRL and you guys at RaceSpot.
Once again, congratulations go to Richard Regan Jr. coming away second tonight. But Dylan Coyle is caught up with the race winner, Abner Acosta. Moves to second all-time with the wins in PRL, unbreaking his tie with Regan Jr., but also triggering a tie for second all-time on NASCAR Wednesday, or rather, in terms of stock car Wednesday nights. He's with Dylan.
Abner Acosta, do you just look at a road course and say, yeah, I got it?
I guess in the Xfinity side with the roster that we have, yeah, I'm the strongest course driver here, but not on Sundays. On Sundays, I do have some little tougher competition on the road. But for Xfinity, I would say I sort of do, but I'm always scared of. I'm known for messing up turn 1 and lap cars, things like that. So there's always a chance, and I think Richard and Knight did pretty well. So I mean, it wasn't just smooth sailing.
Well, nonetheless, it felt like it was a pretty easy decision for you once you had the gap pit halfway. Was there ever any question about that?
Yeah, I actually wasn't going to pit. And then I saw, I think it was Cervantes, he pitted. And then I saw that I might have needed to save a little bit of fuel, which I could have done it. But then I saw the gap and I was like, you know what, I'm just going to go ahead and pit. And then when I came out, honestly, I was sort of regretting it because I had a lot of lap cars in front of me. And then I was kind of thinking like, oh my God, I won't be able to use my tire advantage. I'm going to have so many lap cars. But I think I was like 2-3 seconds faster. So even with the lap car, so it came out all right, but I was a little worried after I made the decision.
Well, nonetheless, you come away with it with the win. You move to the round of 12 easily. Championship hopes for the full playoff battle. Do you feel like it's going to come down between you and Richard, or do you feel like there's anyone else that could pose a challenge?
Man, I'm not a big fan of, like, obviously for like a viewer and like in real life it's fun, but for the drivers, man, like anything can happen in the last race. Like someone can make a mistake, you can get a black flag on pit road, somebody can wreck you by accident. There's so many things that could happen in the last race. I think anybody could win. I don't think it's only me and Richard. Any of the other two that make it, people may put in a lot of practice times for that date. So I think anything can happen for the last championship race.
All right. Well, Abner, congrats again on the win. I don't think it was in any doubt at a certain point throughout maybe lap 3.
Yeah, before I head out, I just want to give a shout out to CM Pennington. I'm still running that scheme, getting used to it. I like it. I'm having a lot of fun. So hopefully he's having a little bit of fun on his end, watching his pace king go around the track, and also Precision Racing Esports and RaceSpot. You guys over there for broadcasting. Thank you.
Well, not a problem. You take care, Abner. Best of luck.
Thank you.
Justin, we'll send it back to you, and I think we got one more to go.
Yes, it's Daniel Knight. Daniel Knight comes away in third, had the top off with a couple laps to go. Daniel, how tight was it on gas with knowing how the strategy played out?
Oh, I mean, it was super tight. Me and Jeff Evans were talking back and forth pretty much the whole race, going, "Can we make it? I don't know. Can we make it? I don't know." But honestly, all I needed was a good finish to get to the next round of the playoffs. That's all I was really focused on, was not wrecking myself. So I didn't mind having a top off there.
In turn, though, how would you describe the flow of this car tonight in this track? Already touched upon the damage mono in turn from Regan Jr. How would you describe tonight for the track?
I might be in the minority here. One of the guys who actually thinks it was a lot of fun once you kind of get into a rhythm. You can attack a lot of the corners, and there's a lot of finesse throughout the infield section that I like tracks with a lot of throttle control. It's fun to try to master. So, and plus going into this with the mentality of just me against the track, it was a lot of fun just to go out there and put laps down.
So Vegas is up next. Your thoughts on Las Vegas?
Vegas should be fun. I'll breathe a little easier knowing that I'm into the next round. Hopefully it won't end up like a couple years ago in the trucks with Brad Hawley. He'll remember that. He never lets me forget. But we'll just try to go out there and have a good finish and not get caught up in any shenanigans.
Well, on that note, congratulations once again on the top 3 tonight, Daniel.
All right. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Daniel Knight coming away in the 3rd spot tonight. Like to thank Abner Acosta, Richard Regan Jr., Daniel Knight for taking the time to speak with us as we get ready for a busy night from Las Vegas. Both series go to Vegas, in fact. The coverage starts at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time on October the 11th. Be sure to tune in as we look to see who gets it done in Vegas.
Well, Justin, you gotta give one shout out, and that's definitely to my spreadsheet skills, because I think I know who's in, who's out. That was a pretty simple one with the bonus point situation, with Abner getting them all except for, I believe it was just Knight who got one other bonus point. If that's the case, here's my unofficial look at who makes it into the next round, who doesn't. And I'm just going to say the top 12 drivers: Acosta, Regan, Jeff Evans, Holly, Zemke, Bogue, Cervantes, Lowendick, Knight, Evans, Lane, and Westerfield. Lane and Westerfield tied 11th and 12th with 87 points each. Kalen out, 86 points. Sink, Hunter, and of course, the other M. Knight, not Shyamalan, is out as well. He and Hunter dropped 0 positions. They came in 15th and 16th. They stay there, but because Kalen and Sink, obviously, more important things going on in life right now, they both dropped. Kalen dropped 7 spots, Sink 6 spots out of the PRL Grand National playoffs.
Once again, that next round starts off at Vegas next week. On that note, though, we'd like to thank you for tuning in for tonight's coverage of the PRL and its Truck and Grand National Series action here on RaceSpot. On that note, for Dylan Coyle, for Hugo Wees, I'm Justin Brent saying so long. Enjoy the rest of your day or evening. You've been watching the Precision Racing League, its coverage of the Truck and Grand National Series from Iowa and Charlotte. Congratulations to our winners tonight. Congratulations to those who move on as we get ready for the round of 12 next week.